Hello, everyone, and welcome to the first episode in 2026 and overall the 17th episode of the Let's Ask Expert initiative, an event which is brought to you by the soft skills stream of the global BA community. As always, the topic for each of the episodes is selected by the audience that is watching us live. So we encourage each and every one of you to stay with us till the end to help us select the topic for episode 18. At the end of last episode, you have selected the topic that many one was curious about, and for a lot of episodes, this topic was actually a runner-up. And finally, at the end of episode 16, charisma was the topic that you have selected. Often it is identified as something that people are born with. Sometimes people are thinking that only natural leaders or great speakers have this skill. But is it really the case? Maybe it's just a set of behaviors, maybe just a set of mindset, or maybe just the presence that can be learned. To explore this topic, I have invited an amazing panel of experts who will work with us today to talk about the communication, the leadership, and the human connection every day. Together, we'll talk about charisma, what it really is, whether it's a skill, whether it's something you are born with, and how it can help with everyday work in the IT environment. So get comfortable, stay curious, and let me invite the first expert today of this episode. So the first expert which we have is Marek Chwal. So Marek, welcome to the episode. Glad to have you here with us. Can you please introduce yourself to our audience, tell a couple of words about yourself, and so that people can get to know you?
Sure. Hello, everyone. I'm from Poland. I'm working in Gdańsk. 25 years of experience as a project manager. This is one of my skills, let's say, from the professional perspective, but I'm also passionate salesman and also leading the band, a little bit composer. So yeah, I'm really surprised that you invited me, Jan, as an expert. It sounds like, if you are thinking about yourself that you are an expert in being
Charismatic.
Charismatic, exactly. It sounds like a little bit selfish, so I do not feel like that. But thank you very much for the invitation. I will do my best to sound a little bit like an expert.
This is something what I've told you, that I know that modesty opens the long list of your qualities, and from your musical experience, it's kind of difficult to be a frontman and build connection with the audience at the concerts if you are not a charismatic leader, right? So glad to have you here with us in today's episode. We also have a second expert today, Vlad Grubman. So Vlad, welcome also to the episode. Can you also introduce yourself to our audience?
Sure. Hi, everyone. My name is Vlad Grubman. I'm an expert in everything. So if you have any questions, I'll give you any answers. Really simple. Thank you for having me. I have no idea what this discussion is going to evolve into, but I'm eager to learn from others and see what this charisma thing is. Like, can I put it in AI and see what happens?
Thank you so much for being here with us. I think being a director in the product management area, charisma is also very helpful to build connections with the customers. And I'm sure our BA colleagues will be super grateful to hear your expertise in the topic. And last but not least, we also have our third expert, Tariq King. So Tariq, welcome to the episode. Can you also tell a couple of words about yourself to our audience?
Yeah, hi everyone. Thanks, Jan, as well for the invitation. Tariq King, I head up Test.io and support EPAM's global testing practice, engineering excellence, and a few others. I spent my career just in software engineering and software quality. I have become a little bit of a known figure in terms of the speaking circuit, which is the only reason that I can think that I'm also here. But yeah, outside of, work and professional stuff, I'm a dad of two daughters, like playing video games, whether it be arcade, console, any kind of handheld, it doesn't matter. Just once it's a video game, you can count me in. And I'm an electric car enthusiast. So thanks for the invitation. And again, I think like the other folks, we'll see where this all leads.
Awesome. And I need to, in that case, find you on Steam so that maybe we can one day play some games together to
For
have the
sure.
multiplayer.
For sure. Yeah.
All right.
Pick
So
me
in that
up
case,
too.
okay, awesome. We'll look for that. So let's begin having the conversation. So as always, I'm stopping sharing the screen. No more presentation. Now it's just a friendly chat between colleagues at EPAM. And the first question which I have for you. So each and every one of you come from a different background, have a different experience and playing different role within the company, but also have some additional activities outside of the company. So my question for you is, how does each and every one of you define charisma in your environment, in your setup, and what is charisma for you? Maybe Tariq, maybe let's start with you as you were the last one to introduce yourself. So let's start with you with this question.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I see charisma as just something that people are drawn to, right? Anything that attracts people, and that could be many different things. I think it actually has to do with your ability to um, understand whoever you're with and around, and adapt to what they might need, right? Maybe they need to laugh or they enjoy laughing, and it's about jokes. Maybe they're a very serious person that likes to talk about highly intellectual topics, right? So charisma will just draw people in, and I think having a good adaptable personality is a big part of that.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much. Vlad, what's your definition?
I'm frantically searching two of my AIs to tell me what it is. But on a serious note, I think charisma is, I'll define it as being relatable. That's where it starts. Like people who are not relatable, like people who are not drawing other people in. That's that it makes it hard. Like once you start pushing people away, it doesn't really work. So that's where I would start probably. It's like if you really go into the definitions, it's some level of emotional empathy.
Mm-hmm. Marek, what about yourself?
Yeah, I prepared a little bit. I've checked the, internet and AI before. So what? Just not to checking right now. But, from my perspective, because the pure definition, as far as I've checked it, it says about presence, confidence. I would add something else to that. So, being charismatic for me, it means also being an expert who other would like to follow. Um, someone who has ability to motivate the people, but also to be a rolling model and showcased example how to deal with the things, which means that you have to be efficient, you have to be effective in what you are doing just to get things done, and to show the other that whatever you are doing, you are confident that you are striving to the goal, and the other follow you simply because you are good at what you are doing.
Mm-hmm. Now, I started with this question that some people think it is a skill, some people think that you are born with it. So, what do you think is more probable? That it is a skill that someone can learn, or that there are people who are just simply born with it and there's super difficult to obtain this in your later life? Marek, what do you
Blended,
think?
blended. I would say it's a mixture. Definitely you need to have some, or you may have some skills
Mm-hmm.
with you're born with, but Uh, there are a lot of things you can learn. Just practicing, just trying to be conscious about what you are doing and how you are doing, how you're dealing with the people, especially, right? Because the charisma is something, some relation between you and others. So yeah, be conscious how you are dealing with the other people, and be conscious how you are dealing with yourself, what you are
Mm-hmm.
doing by yourself.
Mm-hmm. Tariq, before this session, when we've met for the first time, you've mentioned that you are an introvert, but yet you are being perceived as a charismatic person. So, were you able to obtain this skill over your career, or is it just kind of like this fake it till you make it, or?
Um, yeah, I mean, it's an interesting question. I mean, I feel like some people are born with a personality that naturally draws in the majority of people, right? They're just like one of those people that you think, hey, I like being around them. I like how they make me feel. As you mentioned, like when we first started talking, I am introverted, and that has been like not highly introverted, but at the same time, doing a lot of public speaking and going, and then having people want to be around you a lot. I do feel it's something that, for me, I think that there is some level of charisma that I may emote when I'm even in a small group. My challenge becomes when it is either for too long or too many people, right? And then my
Mhm.
battery needs to be recharged. I need to go away and get away. But I think I've learned over the years, like, again, if you are someone who is emotionally intelligent and you can kind of see where people are at, what they're asking, or you can empathize or even sympathize with them on the spot and kind of give them what you need. It is one of those things that I would think is somewhat of a skill that you pick up that
Mhm.
might have others believe, wow, like this person really gets me. I really like being around them. And so in that way, you could think of it as a skill that you can obtain. I think that's what I've done. I've seen how other people tend to manage, those situations and those people, and try to pick up the good things and leave the bad things away. Because there's also people who are quite the opposite, who detract people once they start opening their mouths, and you're like, gosh, I need to get away from this person, right? So you can learn from both the good and the bad, right? Just don't do what those people who push people away are doing. And I think someone kind of mentioned that, it's a relationship that you're building with people.
Mhm. Vlad, what do you think about charisma? Skill
So,
born with?
uh, so, so if that's not still not obvious, that background that you guys are seeing is from one of the Bethesda's computer games. It's Starfield. And that's the model I'm going with, right? You're born with certain points. Think Fallout, all right? You're born with certain number of points. You have at the moment of birth that you put into the charisma rubric, but then you can upskill yourself and you can do stuff. I can relate to what Tariq was saying because I was, I guess, I don't know, a very, very hardcore introvert. I spent almost 20 years as a software developer because I hated talking to people. But then I got better. And then I started doing basically going in the direction of the biggest pain. And the biggest pain for me was talking to people. I I started my own business. I became what effectively is a project manager that had to talk to clients, has to negotiate prices, has to do things, and it was extremely painful. It was extremely uncomfortable. But going through that sort of taught me how to deal with that, and taught me going through that taught me how to not be as human hating humanoid that I was, and eventually I kind of got it all together. I had experience playing in theater, so I didn't have that stage fright performing in front of like hundreds of people. That kind of was taken care of. Like I said, Fallout, right? You start the game with certain points already being in there, but I still had a lot of work to do. I think I've done some of the work. I'm still doing it day to day. And yeah, I believe like wholeheartedly that you can absolutely teach yourself, or someone can teach you how to do that. It's absolutely an acquired skill.
And this is actually quite interesting because all of you have mentioned that, oh, you're like introverted, like you don't know whether you're the right person to talk about charisma. Yet, when I was doing the research for finding the experts for this episode, when I was talking, for example, to Maria Grebenikova, to whom I send regards, she mentioned, oh, you have to have Vlad Grubman. Like, he's so awesome. When I was talking to Ted Vale, Ted mentioned to me, also regards to Ted, like Tariq is really the best guy you can have. He just radiates charisma. He just enters the room, and like you need to have him. Marek, we known each other for so many years, and I've noticed that really modesty opens the long list of your qualities. And this is a question which I have for you. Was there any moment in your life or in your career when you realized that you are being perceived as a charismatic leader, or what was this point in your career? So
No, I
Marek, maybe
never
let's start with you.
realized it yet. I never realized it yet.
You haven't yet, but somehow people still follow you, and you are a leader of this biggest Polish shanty
Well,
band.
I never wondering about it, so never thought about it. In fact, I'm trying to do as much as I can, as best as I can. So just simply trying to be better every day, and thinking about, what can I do, how can I do more, let's say, more efficient. Not really, never thought about if I'm charismatic or not. It's not a question to me, honestly.
Mhm.
If someone is following me, or if someone is inspired by me, that's good. That's okay. I'm happy for that. But I never wanted to be charismatic. In fact, I just wanted to have a friends. I just want to realize our common goals. So whenever I'm jumping into some group of people, I'm trying to understand where we are going, what we are want to do, trying to think about how we can achieve it together, trying to think about how to do it effectively, propose some, methods or some practices. And yeah, if someone has better examples or better ideas, I'm trying to be open for the discussion. Although I also have some my arguments as well.
Mhm.
But yeah, this is the way how I am trying to live simply, and
So kind of
never
also
thought
like
of it.
adaptability to the dynamics of the group, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Hmm. Tariq, how was it for you?
Yeah, I would say actually between last year and this year was the first time that I realized any of this, and I have just like maybe two stories related to that. So as I mentioned, like I do a lot of public speaking, and I think over the years I've seen, yes, like you go, you give a great keynote, you give a good talk, or you give a workshop, and people want to talk to you, etc. Blah blah. Um, but I think this past year. I remember I was at Agile Testing Days in Germany, and I gave a keynote on exploratory testing. And I had this hat that I'd done this keynote across the globe, and I was wearing this hat representative of a testing explorer, right? So it was a hat that I had on Safari. And I told my wife, she was actually there with my kids for that last keynote in Germany. I said, I'm gonna give away the hat, right? Like just as representative as like, hey, this is the last keynote on this topic for the year, and I want to encourage people that your whatever your hat looks like, as an analogy, wear your own hat, right? But like, this was symbolic. And so I gave the hat away to someone in the audience at the end of the keynote. And afterwards, they asked me to take a picture and sign the hat, right? So I didn't think anything of it. So I was like, okay, this is kind of strange. I never signed a hat before, but so I signed the hat and I gave it away. And then it was later on when someone from EPAM had a booth there, and one of our colleagues was like, yeah, Tariq actually like has a huge fan club, and people want his autograph. And I'm like, whoa, that's different. I never really thought that I had that kind of impact, but yeah, that did happen. I can't deny that that was something. Actually, on that same trip, the front part of it before the conference, I was at the EPAM Germany office, and I went to spend time there with our global sales team, most of the folks in EMEA, and then we had some folks from the US come, and I remember speaking with someone else who was outside of that group, and they told me, "Hey, now that you're here, that whole team is lit up, like they're on cloud nine." And they were just telling me this story because they're just saying the impact of your presence here is really felt. And I told them, and I gave a commitment there that I would come once a quarter from now on, because I hadn't been there for a little while that year, and I normally come more often. But I think it's only when people point out those types of things that I realize that there's actually an impact. I think most of the rest of the time, similar to like Marek, I'm just being me, like just trying to be friendly to people. You're not thinking like, of that part of it. But I think I saw that this year, and then even being invited to this panel, I think, is one of those things that gives you like, hey, okay, maybe there's something going on here that I didn't realize. Yeah.
Vlad, what about yourself? This is actually your second appearance on the We Are Community portal in less than 7 days.
Not my fault. I promise. I didn't do it. I didn't. It was there when I got here.
Just people seek your wisdom.
I think I use a lot of humor as my like go-to tool for pretty much everything. So and people obviously, people enjoy having a good laugh. So that's kind of how I connect with folk, and that's sort of what that looks like. And I've been doing this for a while. I wrote for a comedy show, and I did a bunch of like humor stuff back in the day. But to me, it wasn't like, oh, I have charisma moment, but it was kind of like, oh, people actually like me moment. So I'm way I have a ways to go before like to get where Tariq is today. But for me, that moment was I think it was 2018. I recently joined EPAM. My then boss took me first time I've been visiting California. I went to San Francisco to one of the events, and I was and I absolutely shamelessly going to use this word. I was a booth babe, right? So for those of you who don't know, booth babe is somebody who stands in a booth and kind of attracts people. So come here, come over. We'll tell you something. And it was so surprising. And I did the demos. I did the demo of we were presenting Telescope AI, which is our telescope health and perf before it became Delivery Central. We did the whole thing. It was like a big public event, and I was surprised that people would actually stick around and listen to me doing the demo for twice and 2 times, 3 times. Like demo is 3 minutes, right? I would go through it once, I would go through it again, I would go through it again, and I see same people standing there and just listening. And I was like, "What are you doing? You already heard the pitch. Like, what didn't you get the first time?" And then I kind of like, oh, they're not really here to listen about the product. They just kind of want to hear what the other jokes I'm gonna say, because every time I did the pitch, I would like intersperse like humor, and it was never the same. It was always like something else, and that was kind of like my moment. Oh, I can actually be likable in the sense that I can like, because they're not locked with me when I'm on the stage, because they bought tickets like to see this guy like dancing on the scene or something. They're actually they can walk away at any moment, and they decide to stick around. That was like a something
nice
there.
indicator. Well, talking about being booth babe, I used to make this joke representing EPAM, saying that there are only 2 types of people in the world: those who work at EPAM and those who will work at EPAM. Right? So that's that's my go-to joke. So if you will ever have that opportunity again, feel free to use that when you will have that opportunity. But actually, there is also some risks associated with charisma. So it's nice to be charming, but sometimes people might actually look at the charisma from the other side of the coin and see the dangerous side of it, meaning that it might be used as a way of manipulation. So do you have any kind of suggestions or tricks on how to actually avoid using charisma as manipulation? Marek, what do you think?
When you said about the dangerous charm, I thought, sorry for the politic, but I thought about the Donald Trump, because he is a kind of from my perspective, sorry, I don't want to insult anyone, but from my perspective, he is a kind of dangerous, charismatic person. Yeah, I think that if you want to, because there are 2, let's say, sides of the charisma. One is this this pleased one, this nice side where you're motivating the other people, when you're encouraging them to do something and they follow you, and this is common goal, and you listen to them as well, and working all together with kind of integrity. And there is another part, which is a little bit, as you said, danger and not so pleasant, when you are trying to manipulate people and trying to serve for your own purposes only. So yeah, without kind of empathy, without kind of supporting the other, but rather to trying to achieve your own goals, and this is not good part, I would say. So yeah, if I would need to give some advice to distinguish between manipulation and charisma, right? Just think about the other people. Think not only about your goals, but the common goals. That it would be my suggestion, I would say.
Following the EPAM value, act as a team, right?
Yeah, like that.
Tariq, your thoughts on
Yeah,
this?
this is a real tricky question, man. I mean, thinking about it, because I remember having a conversation in a one-on-one, and so one of my leaders was having a problem with an employee, and when he brought it to me, it was like, "Oh, there's these two choices that I have to make, blah blah," and I just said one thing to him, which was just kind of like a question to make him think. And once I asked him that, he went into a little bit of a spiral and solved it. And then he's like, "I saw what you did there." He was like, "I saw, it's like kind of Jedi mind tricks, right? Where you made me realize like my own solution that I had inside." Now, one could look at these things, and of course, you could use these skills that you have, and people do all the time, for you know bad intentions, right? And that is more of an ethical and internal, personal, moral question that you have to live with. But I do think that reason why I think this is a tricky question, that as a leader, sometimes I need people to go in a particular direction. And you could label it manipulation. I don't know if that's maybe too strong of a word, but sometimes when I need them to go in a particular direction and I know how to um, inspire or motivate, direct, get that result, uh, I'll turn on whatever that is, especially if I know if it's for their own good, right? So I think where it could be confusing is if someone doesn't have a good moral compass, right, and they just use it to get their way, right, and their way may not always be in the best interest of the company. So I think if you're going to employ this skill, understand that in one way or another, you're influencing, you're impacting others, and you could label it manipulation. But as long as you have a good value system, as long as you're ethical and moral person that, as was mentioned, is not out just for themselves and their own good, because I have seen that before as well. Thankfully, some of those people are no longer with us, but I've seen that happen here, even at EPAM, where that charisma, that charm is used to kind of self-serve, right? Which is not cool. So,
Vlad, your
I
thoughts?
mean, I have a lot of thoughts. I mean, the people who will want to manipulate other people are always going to be there. So it's kind of like any tool that you can use. It can be used for good. It can be used for not so good. So and you can, and again, you can probably see I'm a little older now. I'm not sure about wiser, but I've seen some things, and I think it's on both sides of the equation, right? You should probably be responsible for your own moral compass. And I agree with folks completely that you should kind of check yourself first. Are you doing the right thing? Are you following the right mindset? But at the same time, you should also understand that um, there are people who are going to be using the charisma to get leverage, and it's on you to sort of detect that and act accordingly, right? I'm going to be very vague in my next example because I don't want to point fingers at anything, but I was asked to conduct an interview with one of the candidates, and the gentleman was absolutely amazingly charismatic. I was like, I usually I'm usually good at it, but I was definitely swayed in the first 10 minutes of a conversation, and then kind of started plugging into it, and I realized that the gentleman's not really saying anything. He just basically uses a number of buzzwords to sound like he knows something, and he absolutely 100% relies on his charisma to pass all the interviews, and he's succeeding because I think my interview was like a second or third in a row, so he already passed the first two quality gates, right? It kind of like, yeah, we're not doing this here. we actually need people, to make sense in front of a client. So we can have that here, but these people exist. Like there's nothing you can do. You can't if you want to change the world, you should start with yourself. And I think I'm absolutely in agreement that you should have your own moral compass in pointing in the right direction, and you should look at these people, like at people around you, and ask uncomfortable questions.
This is actually quite interesting what you've mentioned. That I remember back in the day when I was working in a previous company, there was one manager that could lead a 30 minutes meeting and absolutely provide zero information. But over the sound of how that message was delivered, like you were really inspired and you really wanted to believe in every word that this person was saying. So that's also quite an interesting skill to have. But actually, Gordon has raised an interesting question in the Q&A section, because he asks, how can people avoid being manipulated? Are there any telltale signs of someone using their charisma for evil? Are there any red signals that we should be aware
I'll
of?
start because I kind of alluded to it in my answer. So I'll jump in first and give you guys time to think. So surprisingly, this book is almost 100. It's going to be soon about 100 years old. Dale Carnegie. I forgot the exact title, like How to Make Friends and Influence People. I think that's the title. If you go through that book, and I listened to it as an audiobook, and it's absolutely different experience compared to how you read it. When you listen to it, you start picking up the patterns that other people are using, and that's one of the reasons why I'm saying you should listen to it. You start picking up the patterns that people are using in conversation to influence you, and charismatic people just dial that to 11. And knowing how to be charismatic, knowing how to influence people, helps you detect those same signals in other people, and then you just analyze it and you see if that makes sense to be to listen to those signals. Are they being used for, I don't know, for good? I know it sounds cringy, but let's keep it that way. Like, are you being influenced to do something good, something correct, something right, or are you being influenced to your own detriment, right? And where does that? And you can imagine, like, a lot of edge cases, a lot of situations when, you may sacrifice certain things for greater good, and that's perfectly fine. But ultimately, that's the question, right? Detect that you're being influenced. What is the purpose of that influence? What does it lead to? And is that your own? Is that aligned with your own moral compass, or you want to sort of like go in a separate direction?
And this is also, I think, an interesting point about whether you feel that your emotions are being played on, and whether you have kind of like impact, because it's quite easy to manipulate someone if someone else is referring to things which are of great importance to us, right? That's why those scammers that they call you from the bank saying, "Oh, your bank account is being hacked. You need to act right now," and suddenly you're like, "Oh my God, I will lose all my money!" And this.
You just had to throw this in. I did the talk last year on. We did a huge project for one of our clients in. I'm not going to name the names. I can't. NDAs and all that. But we did one of our large clients in another country, and we were researching specifically scams versus fraud. Just for the greater audience, the difference is fraud is when somebody's using credentials to get into your account. Scam is when somebody makes you use your own credentials to get into your own account and do stuff, right? So we've done a lot of research. Basically all we did was research. And one of the things we found out is the scam happens when your ability for critical thinking is compromised. That is what happens when you're being manipulated to your own detriment. That one single phrase basically answers everything you need to know about the scam. Your own ability for critical thinking is compromised. You stop thinking critically about what am I doing, and you start following the lead of somebody else. And that's the hardest part to detect, because you cannot detect what you are doing if you are compromised.
Coming back to the original question with this prevention of being manipulated, Marek, your thoughts on this?
Sorry, I was muted. Yeah, I'm thinking about, and I will answer in the different way maybe. Why not to be manipulated if the goal is okay and is equal to your core values, let's say, right? So what Vlad said is about the critical thinking. If you are discussing with someone and someone tries to convince you to go in some direction, just check if this direction is okay for you and it's okay with your core values, let's say. Then you can be can be manipulated, right? Honestly, I think sometimes it's good to be maybe not manipulated, but motivated, encouraged to do some
Inspired.
next step. Yeah. So uplift to do great things simply. This is kind of charisma for me as well, just to motivate the people. But if someone tries to manipulate you in the way that you will do something which you are not proud of, you don't want to do, then this is, something to avoid.
Tariq, your thoughts and suggestions for
Yeah.
Gordon's question?
So I would say this to the original question, because me and my wife we get into it about this. If she tells me something or says something, um, she always tells me like I don't believe her like right away. And I'm like, it's not that I don't believe you. I believe that whatever you said is information that you got, and it could be factual, but I would say my first advice to people on this topic is you have to guard your mind. And I guard my mind a lot. From the time I was a kid, I always did. I didn't just believe something that someone said, or just because they said it in a certain way, they were very charismatic with their delivery, and I just get sucked in. I always was on the guard for my own mind, right? To go along with that, I would say you also shouldn't make on the fly decisions on the spot. If just because someone is saying something or doing whatever, give yourself some time or some space, and get away. And if you still feel the same way after, some time, then you're doing that with a sound mind, and it all comes into again guarding your mind. Because I feel like you can still be inspired, you can still be led to do something by someone and someone's charisma, but giving yourself some time and space to really quiet down and think about it, and you still think it's a good idea, then it probably is, more inspiration than it is manipulation, right? If when you quiet yourself down, you see like, yeah, I wasn't so sure about this, this, in the moment it felt good, but now it doesn't feel so good, then that's kind of like your way of checking. So I guess it's just kind of taking what Marek said and putting some guardrails to be able to implement it, right? Like that's what I would kind of advise people to do.
This is actually also an advice which I received from my manager some years ago, that after doing an assessment session or an interview, don't write the feedback straight away. Like let the emotions cool down, take a breath, maybe sleep it off, and try to write this on the next day. Maybe watch the recording one more time, because sometimes you might be again under the influence of the speech,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
not necessarily like then you will actually start to realize there was little content in the answer. The answer was amazing, was fruitful and seemed like a beautiful waterfall, but really small amount of information. Um, Coming back also to the roots of charisma. So you mentioned that it is a skill that can be learned over the course of trainings or practice or meeting inspiring people. So what are, like, let's say, one, two, maybe three things that people can start doing right away so that they can practice their charisma starting from tomorrow? What advice would you give for people who would like to develop that skill? Like what advice would you give?
I would say I'll jump in there. I would say the first thing that people need to do if they really want to be more charismatic first, might sound contrary to what you should do or other people might say, but you should start listening to people Like a lot of people want to talk, they want to be the person everyone's looking at, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And it might seem like that person who does that is the charismatic person. I'm not that person. I'm the person who listens first and tries to really understand who's in front of me and say something meaningful. And this has always been very useful in my career. I remember being a first time manager at the seat where they had the VP, and this meeting was going on. And in those meetings, everyone with the loudest voice is kind of going back and forth. And for the whole meeting, everyone was talking and no one was listening. And I was just sitting there kind of listening to the core problem. And then at the very end, I opened my mouth and said something. And I remember the VP saying, yeah, like we really had a lot of noise and a lot of things going on, but only what Tariq said is the only thing that we should do. Like this is the only thing, right?
Hmm.
And so sometimes people can be drawn to you. You can be influenced, and it's not because you just had the loudest voice, but because you really spent most time listening, analyzing, and caring, and saying something meaningful at the right time. So I would say that as a starter.
Hmm.
Yeah,
But
if I jump into that,
sure.
I would say maybe something that you do not agree at the first glance, but exactly what Tariq said, that listening is the one of the skills which is quite important. And because of that, from my perspective, sometimes the introvert people are more charismatic than the extrovert, just because they are more listening. And when they say something, suddenly all the other are listening. So, I know that people, specialist programmers who are jump into the call, just listening, just doing something, and then suddenly rise their head and say a few words, and then suddenly everyone are inspired and know what to do. So yeah, listening is the one of the practice which can be learned as well, right? So this is something you can do. The other thing I would add is to be prepared and to be a really expert in the matter where you are discussing or you are trying to achieve. Not just only to listen, not just only to say something, but to be meaningful and to provide a value simply.
Hmm. But I think
Mhm.
equally important is the fact that when you don't know something, just have the courage to admit, well, actually, I don't know. I need to read more on this because you cannot be an expert in absolutely everything, right?
Yeah, but this is
Well,
this is
Vlad is the
also
expert in everything, no?
Sorry, yeah, yeah. I forgot we have Vlad here. So,
but this is also honestly the part of being charismatic from my
Mhm.
perspective, that you can admit that you are not an expert in something, and you are honest to the other people as well. So we build this relation saying, I'm not the most wise person in this group, right?
Mhm.
I'm just working with you, and I'm trying to inspire you, but I also trying to inspire myself and trying to be better myself. So yeah.
Mhm. Vlad, any tips and tricks for being practicing charisma?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, first of all, 100% agrees. I 100% agree with what others said. Like, listen first, speak last. Like, if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room. It works really well. Trust me, it really does. The other thing is that I maybe I missed it, but you really need to practice the art. Practice makes perfect. So when you speak, when you actually get to the part when you're speaking, or when you get the part where you relate to other human beings, that's when you need to practice that emotional intelligence. That's when you need to practice the part where you like adding value to the conversation. I think Mike said something very similar to that. But it's kind of like why are you here, right? Ask yourself this question: why are you here? And if people see the value, whether it's emotional, intellectual, whatever, if you're just inspiring, like if you look at these motivational speakers, they don't really do anything. They don't really tell you anything you didn't know before, but there is a value, and a lot of people will see the value in them, and that value is motivation, which is why they're called motivational speakers, right?
Mhm.
So and those people are extremely charismatic. Those people are like that's basically their job, to be charismatic. And I occasionally, I don't have much time doing that, but occasionally I look at that as a source of sort of inspiration for myself. So practice, listen first, speak last. Don't be the smartest person in the room. Practice the art, because those are the things.
There is
Now
the
I now I
saying
know.
that there's the saying
Now I
that
so
yeah, go on,
yeah,
Marek.
I
Yeah.
just wanted to add something that now I know why I'm not as good speaker as you, Vlad and Tariq. I'm simply a better singer.
But actually, there is the saying that God gave you two ears and one mouth for a reason, yeah, so that we can listen more and talk less. And there was even in the Hamilton, there was this quote: "Talk less, smile more. Don't let them know what you're against, what you're for. You wanna get ahead. Fools who often round their mouth often wind out dead." So, kind of like try to remember that from the top of my head, but I think it went something like that. But Tariq, Marek, you are appearing on the stage quite often, either with a band, as a keynote speaker. So how does charisma can help you with that? Is it like help you to build the connection with the audience, to adapt the message that you deliver based on listening to how the audience is reacting to what you are saying? How does it appear in the real life scenarios? So Marek, you recently had a concert actually this weekend. So did charisma help with that?
I thought you will ask first, Tariq.
Nope, sorry, throwing you under the bus.
Yeah, we had a concert this week because there was a big event in Poland, final of the
Charity
Great
Orchestra for Christmas.
Great
Yeah.
Orchestra, yeah, charity. So we organized that, and yeah, this was one of your questions when I realized that I'm charismatic. So yeah, I thought after that there are some moments when I feel charismatic for the other people. What Tariq said about signing the autograph. So I'm signing the autographs on our CD record sometimes. And yeah, and then I thought, then I'm thinking that yeah, these people are listening us. They are coming to our concert, even if we are repeating all the same. Practice is the one, definitely. When you're practicing, when I'm playing the concert for almost 25 years or something. So yeah, sometimes you have to react on the stress properly, just to be confident all the time.
Do you still have stress after 25 years of playing?
As always.
Always? Wow.
Always. But you have to deal with the stress, and you have to rather not to show panic to the audience, to the group where you are, but play with integrity, play with being confident what you are doing simply. Yeah, I think this is a kind of, let's say, visible attribute of charisma for the other people, right?
Mm-hmm.
So being good in what you are doing, being kind of expert, practicing a lot, dealing with the stress as well. Yeah, this helps me.
Mm-hmm. Tariq, what about you?
Yeah, I mean, I think couple things come to mind, like thinking of being like on stage. I remember like for me it was a big thing to be in front of like 2,000 people giving a keynote speech. And I think over the years, nowadays, one of the things that I use charisma to help with, like, is actually making that big crowd of people actually feel very small, and treating it like if it's small. Because like I remember the first time I was on a big stage like that, I felt like, wow, everyone's so far away. It's not like a smaller room where you have 30 people. I started my career teaching, right? So, no more than 30 people, everyone is reachable. Here, like, it's a lot bigger. But if you have the right level of charm, you can actually, in commanding a stage like that, and I did this one time where I had some highly interactive things for a 2,000 person audience. And I remember just finding the people in the audience who I was going to connect with eye to eye. And as we were going through some kind of musical trivia questions, ironically, connecting with them, and thumbs up, thumbs down, like seeing where they were at, right? And so that type of thing to again draw people in, because it's not just that one person that you draw in when you do that. Now everyone who's in that large crowd feels like, oh, I can be a big part of this, and I am. This is more of an intimate moment than it is a far away moment, because he's
Hmm.
pulling in individuals. So I think applying that skill on the stage, also helping you to deal with nerves or any kind of stress as well, because the minute that you kind of bring that intimacy in, it doesn't feel like this daunting task of, what if I mess this up? You're no longer thinking of that. It kind of feels like a more personal, even one-to-one thing, right? So I think I've learned to use that over the years to my advantage, interacting with large audiences.
And that you mentioned about the humor, but this is like equally good, but also equally risky, because you never know what will be the reaction, whether people will laugh with you or laugh at you, whether the joke will land flat, or whether it will not be, for example, offensive for someone. So how to also deal with that aspect, not to sound mm, too harsh to the audience.
That's a good question, and frankly, over the years, I've learned that any joke can be offensive to someone. Like there are audiences, they're deliberately gonna find ways to be offended, and there's nothing you can do about it. Like if you listen to comedians of old, like Norm Macdonald or Robin Williams, or literally anybody from like starting 2000 and all the way back, like literally every single word is offensive. So you just deal with it, and there are two rules about the humor: is if you laugh first and then you get offended, then it was actually funny, and then you just decided to get offended. That's kind of the rule. And the other thing is, of course, you're thinking you should read the room, right? You should read the room about like on the subject of what are you gonna say, what's gonna come out of your mouth. Again, practice the art comes with experience. When I just started my journey of a professional humor, all of my jokes were flat. Literally all
Mhm.
of them. We would have the brainstorm in the team. I would come in with like 10 pages of jokes. None of them were funny. And yeah, that's probably the funniest part of the first year. It's like none of that was funny. But eventually you learn. Eventually there are ways to do that, and then you kind of just react to the situation. A lot of the humor that helps with the audience and helps with this understanding is sort of reacting to the moment, saying something like back in all the way back to Friends. I was like, Chandler, quick, say something funny. That's exactly what it feels like. Like if you say something funny, it kind of like distracts people. It decreases the pressure, decreases the stress.
Mhm.
So it works. It absolutely works. So again, practice the art.
Yeah, practice, practice,
Probably
practice.
in
Hmm.
terms of joke, it's good to always to use the situational joke, right? And when you feel the audience, and then you can use something which is close to them.
Yeah, yeah. And frankly, it's really like it's not about the joke itself. It's about the perception by of that joke by the audience. What there are like ways. There's like literally methodology behind it, which I'm not gonna go into. But to me, it was really eye opening when I was listening to live concert of Tom Waits. He was actually telling jokes in between the songs, and I was like,
Hmm.
oh, that's what he does. Okay, and that kind of keeps playing back in my head. It's like you don't have to perform whatever it is you're performing. Like I'm on the stage, or I'm delivering a presentation or something. Like to give you an example, I was one of the first people who started using memes in PowerPoints at EPAM. We
Okay.
actually had we actually had this like school of memes by Vlad Grubman going for a couple of years, and now I get all these newsletters from delivery from um, some other competencies at EPAM, and they use memes there. I'm like, oh yeah, I know where that started.
Nice, nice. As we are approaching slowly the end of the episode, I'm sharing with our audience, and I'm also sharing with you now, um, the link to Mentimeter. So you can either use the link that I shared in the Q&A section, or you can go to menti.com and provide the code 48367330 and help us select the topic for the next episode. So Marek, Vlad, and Tariq, you can also participate in this voting and select what would be the topic for episode 18. But as we are waiting for the answers to appear on the list, the last question which I have for you is, if you would have the opportunity, like recently I heard about this 10 years challenge, and people started to post things from 2016. What one piece of advice would you give to yourself from 10 years ago, and what one piece of advice would you give to your younger self when it comes to the topic of charisma?
I guess practice more. Sorry, I jumped in. I apologize.
Vlad, yeah, sure, go on. So you mentioned practice. No,
that's it. That's it. I have a client call, so I have to jump off. But mine would be practice more.
Okay.
Do put the work in.
Focus on authenticity. Sorry, it's a difficult word for me. Be authentic, simply. Be honest. Be yourself, and yeah, practice as well, definitely. But be yourself.
Yeah, I would say a similar thing in terms of being yourself, but also just putting others first, right? And just trying to be there for people. Don't worry about charisma, that'll come. Just care about people first.
Yep. Mm-hmm. All right, awesome. And I see that based on the answers that we have received, the topic for the episode 18 will be presentation skills. So
why not singing skills? Come on.
maybe one day. Who knows? But nevertheless,
isn't that a presentation skill? Singing.
Kind of also as well, because you present something with your voice, with the music, right? So music can be a great connector, equally good as humor. I remember the quote, no matter the language you speak, music is always part of the culture. So that's a great connector for international audiences. But what I can say right now is just I would like to express my very big gratitude for this great conversation. So thank you so much, Marek, Vlad, and Tariq, for sharing your experience on this very important topic. So if there is one key takeaway from this, I think it's this, that charisma isn't about being someone else. It's about being yourself, being present, being confident and connected with others, but also sometimes giving the opportunity for others to appear and not necessarily be the loudest person in the room. So this is, as it seems, a skill that we can practice over conversations, over meetings, or meeting also inspiring people or charismatic people from whom we can learn from. So I do hope that you enjoyed this discussion. I do hope you will tune in for the next episode. And for now, let me just say once again a very big thank you for this conversation, and I do hope to speak to you again on the next episode of the Let's Ask Expert Initiative.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Please take good care of yourself, and I will see you next time. Bye.